Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to a new video of mine. I'm Ryan Honduras, and today I'm going to show you how I did my Mandalorian jetpack. I'm doing my costume in a different kind of style, but we'll get into that more later on in some of my other videos. For this video, we're just going to jump right into it, and I'm just going to show you my process. In this video, I'm going to show you how to prep the jetpack, how to put it together, how to sand it, and how to prime it and how to properly get it prepped for painting, which I will do in part 2. So first I'm just going through and I'm sanding all the pieces where the glue is going to be in contact so that way they grab onto each other better. Just sanding both sides. Right now I'm working on the bottom of the thrusters. There's a little cap that goes on, and then there's a little tube piece that holds everything together, and I'm going to be putting the tube piece inside to hold everything in place, but I won't be gluing the tube part in yet, so that way I can actually sand it properly. And then I'm using electrical tape to hold everything in place. This is dollar store electrical tape, works really well. The reason why I'm using electrical tape is because it doesn't leave behind residue like some duct tape would, and since it was 50 cents for 2 at the dollar store, I always like picking those up. They're cheap, and the tack that's on them isn't super sticky and it doesn't leave behind any residue, at least not yet. So I just like using electrical tape for my projects. Here I'm showing you again just how I'm going to be putting this together. I put the tube inside first, then I sand both the pieces that will be in contact, like the bottom of the jetpack where this little plate is going to be going, and then I sand the flat part of the plate. This little flat bar piece that I have inside the jetpack, I think that's where it was supposed to go, but I didn't really like it there, so I put it on this little inner groove on the jetpack, and I thought it made it look a little cooler right there. Again, just sanding both sides and then prepping it with super glue, and then just getting it where I need it to go, and then just putting tape on both sides to hold it in place. Now I'm working on the actual exhaust part of the thrusters, I'm guessing is what it's called. The part where the flames come out, and I'm just sanding all the parts where I know that glue is going to be going. Then same with everything else, I'm just going to wrap it with electrical tape to hold it in place. Now we're getting into the actual jetpack itself. I'm just going through and prepping it for primer. I'm just going to go through and rough sand the whole jetpack and all the pieces, just rough sand them. And then I'll spray them with a couple coats of just flat primer. It's a more rough textured kind of primer just to get it ready. Once the whole thing's been rough sanded, now I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to spray it down with a good thick layer of primer. And here's all those pieces, just spraying them all together. Smaller pieces, I'm not going to use as much primer, but the jetpack itself, I'm going to put more primer on than I would the little pieces, at least for now. Now I'm going through with the Bondo Glaze Spot Putty. I'm just going to fill in some of those thicker printer lines that the primer couldn't fill in very well. And then after that, I'm going to sand it again. And with this step, it's kind of just rinse and repeat. I learned to use the glazing spot putty from the YouTube channel Galactic Armory. And ever since I saw him use this, I've been using it because I like how it works. Works a lot better than some of the other stuff I've used. Used wood filler, but this stuff just works a lot better. It bonds with the plastic a lot better than the wood filler does. And most of those spots where it needs it is mostly like the corners and just some of the thicker spots. And some of the spots where the primer would pool up, I would sand that out and just fill it in with some spot putty. Once the whole thing is covered, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to rough sand it again with one of my rough sanding sponges. The rough sanding sponges, I use more of like a mid grit to it, not necessarily a rough grit, but just a decent enough grit that it'll sand it really well. And then just make sure you rinse and repeat this. You just spray it, put Bondo on, spray it, Bondo, and just make sure you're sanding in between the layers. And eventually it'll be really smooth, and then you'll be ready for a different kind of primer. The next kind of primer I used was a really nice glossy finish smooth primer. Really smoothed out the whole jetpack, and I lightly sanded that so the paint would stick to it better. Here I am after I put on that gloss finish primer, just going through, and I'm sanding it with one of my lighter sanding sponges, prepping it for when I get my first layer of paint onto the jetpack. I did use a headlight polishing kit. I wouldn't recommend using it. It worked, but it kind of ruined some of the primer a little bit, so I would recommend just hand sanding it. I admit I got a little impatient and tried using that, and it kind of messed up some parts of the jetpack. Here it is after I've gone through a couple layers and just sanded it. I'm showing you where I put in some more of the Bondo, where the primer couldn't get to and where some spots need more. But this is going to be the end of my part 1 of the jetpack video. Couldn't fit it all into one video without it being super long, so I'm going to make it into 2 parts. Right here I'm putting on the first coat of paint, which I will put in this video. My next video is going to be all about painting the rest of the jetpack, the final sanding, the little touches. And then I'll show you some pictures going more in depth of me finishing the jetpack in this video, showing you how I filled everything in, and just some cool looking pictures. One of my favorite stages of these projects is the primer stage. I love just seeing project come together. It's outside of the 3D print stage, and you get to see it all just coming together and looking like one solid piece, almost like it's been repaired too, just all the glazing spot putty and all the Bondo on it. The main part of the jetpack, I'm guessing, is like a default jetpack, because it has sections where you could put stuff like Boba Fett stuff in, and like the side thrusters instead of them coming out the bottom. I have an idea for those I'll include in my next video. And same with the bottom right here. I just filled that in because I wanted it to be flat at the bottom. And here's just some pictures of me after I sanded it flush. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something from it. I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.